A man with proprietary AI in his head wakes up to a visual hellscape of monsters, appendages falling off, breathing walls, leeches, and other horrendous things that he's seeing in his swirling, twirling mind. So, what do you think happens when he regains a somewhat semblance of consciousness? Well, he runs. So, the book we're going to talk about today is Dead But Dreaming of Electric Sheep by Paul Tremblay. This book is weird. If you don't like weird books, this one might not be for you. So, it follows the story of this girl, Julia. And Julia's mother is a CEO for one of the biggest tech companies in the country. I believe it's called like Decillion. She wants her daughter to do this job, and Julia works as a waitress. She's also a PA assistant on like a kids show. And she used to stream on Twitch. And at one point, she was on like a semi-professional team for Overwatch. And so her mom calls her up and she's like, hey, I have a job for you and I need your skills. And she's like, what kind of skills? And she basically isn't quite clear with her what it's about. She tells her something about how like she needs her video game skills and whatnot. She wasn't going to go and she wasn't going to even take the job, but then the interview alone pays like an obnoxious amount of money, like several $1,000s. And she's like, well, even if I don't take the job, it's still several $1,000s. You know, I'm not making a whole lot of money doing what I'm doing right now. So even though she doesn't really like her mother, she takes a job anyway. They have a really effed up, weird relationship. And then when she gets there, she finds out what the job is. And the job is basically she's going to pilot this man that she ends up calling Bernie, which Bernie comes from these movies that were, I don't know if it was like, I think it was like late 80s. Weekend at Bernie's were these movies where this guy, Bernie, was basically dead. And then his two associates basically like carried him around all weekend and made Bernie seem like he was alive. And they were weird movies. The 80s were weird. So she calls him Bernie because of that. And so we refer to the guy most way through the book as Bernie. Eventually you will find out his name and all that and more of his history and his life before this happened. So she gets there, she finds out like they want her to basically like get this guy from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast to deliver him to his mother so that he's in a right to die state where they'll, I guess, assist him with leaving this mortal coil, because apparently he had a stroke and is in a vegetative state, and he signed up for this to have this AI implanted in his head. So now that he's controlled by basically like a remote control. And so Julia gets there and she has to do this like training simulation. So she does the simulation. She does pretty well with that. And then she has to try and control Bernie, you know? As you go through the story, it switches between the perspective of Julia and then of Bernie. And this whole time, Julia is like, is he conscious? Is it possible there's some of him still left in there? Like, what is going on? And like his head currently is like wrapped up in bandages, so they have a hat on him and then they have sunglasses on him, and they're like, if he doesn't have the sunglasses on, it like the AI has trouble communicating with the controller. You have to be, I think, like 30 feet in order to control Bernie, and 30 feet away, the radius for using the remote control for him. And so she's got to get him on like 3 separate flights to get from California to the East Coast. And for the first leg of it, a couple of the guys who actually worked on the project are with her and helping her. They're having to do it a lot faster than they had wanted to. Like Julia asks a bunch of questions. She's like, have you guys done this before? What is going on? They're like, well, we've had some success, you know, with mice and rodents. So this is like the first human they're doing this with. What could go wrong, you know, when they're trying to speed ahead and not take any precautions and to go for it? Well, what goes wrong is that Bernie wakes up, sort of. He doesn't really wake up to the reality that we know because like he's got this weird AI in his head. So he's like in a weird hallucination. Things aren't how they seem. And it almost seems like the AI in his head is talking to him. And then he has other voices, and it seems like he hears the people that are around him, but he sees things differently. And yeah, so when he does finally wake up, he kind of like freaks out. But that doesn't happen for a good chunk of the book. And it's this whole like weird existential thing. And it was very interesting and weird. If you like weird books, it might be something to look into. This is a book though, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Like, I thought it was just okay. It's interesting. It's different. I think like the chapters where Bernie is in this fugue effed up state where he's seeing things that look like giant leeches or like the walls breathing or like people that look like robots or people's fingers just falling off or their hands falling off and the hands start walking around and like weird stuff. Like some of that was like, it was very slow moving to get through it, but like I get the whole purpose is that you're in a mind that was vegetative, that is like waking up to this weirdness, and there's all the moral issues that come along with it and whatnot. I think it wasn't a book that kept me turning pages because I was like hooked. I was more fascinated by the weirdness of it and then what happens at the end. And unfortunately, I've never actually read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, so I don't know how this compares because I know it's supposed to be like kind of influenced from that, obviously with the similar title and whatnot. I should probably read that. That's like such a classic sci-fi book. I don't know why I haven't read that yet. Add it to the list of a million books that I need to read. There's so many and I don't have enough time. I don't know. If any of that sounds interesting to you, then definitely check it out. Yeah, for me, I just thought it was all right. Also, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.